gentlemen, welcome to the pre-show of the Intel Extreme Masters San Jose 2015. We've got 2 days of League of Legends lined up for you, and if you've been following the scene at all, quite a few roster changes. So to help break all of that down before we get into the actual tournament, I have 3 lovely gentlemen with me here on the desk. It is SaintVicious, Krepo, and Phreak. Guys, I mean, we have a lot of big changes for most of the teams, really. Pretty much all of them, right? Except for
LGD is like
LGD is the only one that actually legitimately had no changes.
Yeah. I mean, they're not running the NESO 2015 lineup where they had TBQ playing AD carry, so I mean, everyone else has got, 1 to 4 new players in the roster, so it'll be interesting seeing who actually shaped up quickest.
Yeah. The cool thing is these teams are all borrowing from each other. Like UOL lost their mid laner, well, he's now part of Origin. CLG kind of lost Doublelift, he's now on TSM. So if certain matchups play out a certain way, we could have a lot of grudge matches potentially in the finals. So that's what I'm looking for.
Well, I think this tournament's going to be really important because a lot of people are trying out their rosters, and this is really going to be the determining factor in what you're going to see in the LCS. And I think if a team bombs out here, you're going to see some major changes.
It's a debut for a lot of these guys, and for them too, what do we need to work on? How are things going to change? So let's get right to it, ladies and gentlemen. Over the next 2 days, what matches are you going to see? First up, today we have 3 matches for you. We have the first 2 matches in the bracket. It will be TSM versus LGD, kicking it off with a bang. And then we've got a neat little show match you might have heard about. I do know of a certain somebody who's involved with a basketball team come in, that he's going to play some ARAMs here. But then, to wrap up the day, we have CLG going up against Unicorns of Love. Tomorrow, we'll have the 2 semifinals, Origin and Generic Green Wings waiting with their bye in the tournament, going all the way to a best-of-5 final to wrap up IEM San Jose. So there's the bracket. As you can see, Origin and Generic Green Wings just waiting until day 2. CLG, TSM will have to battle their way up alongside LGD and Unicorns of Love. It is all single elimination, but again, I mean, this is really just a trial for a lot of these teams too. Do we really read into any of the results here too much, especially with the new rosters?
A little bit certainly. The one I think you really have to read into is LGD. On paper, LGD should win this tournament, probably without even losing a game. Jin Air aren't even playing most of their starters. Everyone else had a bunch of roster changes. Like, LGD screwed up at Worlds. They didn't really play with the full roster, NESO 2015, so whatever. And they said, guys, we're sorry. We really screwed up. We know we didn't play as well as we're supposed to. Now it's redemption time. And this is the time LGD gets to prove that they don't suck.
I think you can just say that the favorites for the tournament, at least in my opinion, are all in the top side of the bracket. Like, LGD could make a run. TSM, if things click all of a sudden, they have the talent in their roster to make it. And Origin, they've only replaced 1 member if Power of Evil does play here. And I feel like he can already fit into that mechanic that Origin has built up, because the shot calling comes from Mythi and Amazing. You have Soas, who is very flexible. Amazing is a smart player, so they could easily incorporate the talent of mid laner like Power of Evil and still have that level that they had for while they were performing at Worlds. So technically, for me, they're likely the favorites of the tournament.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. I think Power of Evil is definitely a big not a big upgrade over XPK. I mean, XPK is a phenomenal player, and he's been playing forever, but
he's a side grade, like.
Yeah. I mean, I just think Power of Evil, he's a younger player. He has a lot of room to grow, and he has an amazing staff around him. Like, I think XPK is coaching for this tournament. He says he doesn't know how good of a coach he's going to be, but I mean, I trust him. I feel like he knows the game after playing it this long.
Yeah, I mean, he has been around for quite some time. And as we're talking about this again, we keep mentioning, how are these rosters going to work out? We already mentioned a lot of the changes that have happened, but let's be honest, all eyes are on one change and one change only as we come into this tournament, and that's around a certain player named Doublelift. You might have heard of him. He's kind of a big deal in League of Legends. And he made, I honestly think, single-handedly probably the biggest roster news we will almost ever see in League of Legends. I think it's safe to say that.
I mean, when I read this news, it was like 4 a.m. I got home. It was a nice night out, and I was like, open up Reddit, and I was like, TSM Doublelift? Okay, no, I gotta go to bed. This is time out for me. And I woke up and it was still true, so that really like weirded me out.
I mean, it was nuts. Everyone was trying to figure out if this was some elaborate troll between TSM and CLG. They were like shaking hands, trying to troll the whole community, but it wasn't. Doublelift is now gone from CLG. He's now on TSM, and that has a lot of implications for both teams. I really think so.
Yeah, I was talking to Reginald about how like the deal went down, and he's like, wait a second, CLG doesn't want the best AD carry in North America? All right, I mean, I'll take him, I guess. Like, you know.
Sneaky's comfortably on cloud 9, but
I like Sneaky a lot too, but
I mean,
arguably the best.
Whatever. Yeah. I mean, that's, maybe, depending on how he does now on TSM, we could see, right? Because until now, he's had a team that kind of always revolved around him.
And that's the thing, yeah. Like, Double had a very good year this year. Like, 2015 was a great year for Doublelift. He was starting to fall off by the end of 2014. Sneaky had, like, easily taken his spot, and then Double finally came back. And, yeah, it was like, well, Pavel's really good at playing Lulu and low econ mid laners, and, like, you know, Afram is still a great support, so, like, there was a good, big support staff for Doublelift. Well, now he's on a team where there's other important people here. He's on a team with Bjergsen. Bjergsen's the guy who gets babysit. Like, that's the guy that the team was built around in the first place. And you've got a jungler who just got off a team where he camps for his top laner more often than not. So in Svenskar and for Freddy back on SK. So, you know, how's he going to work on this sort of group? And then he's with Kasing, who normally wasn't with... actually, I guess Yarno was very good, so he's used to playing with good AD carries. But, you know, it's like, how is that going to mesh with only 1 week of playing?
To touch on that point, I think Kasing and Doublelift will do fine together already because they're just innately, they're just smart players. Kasing in lane as a support just knows what to do in which situations, and Doublelift in lane is a strong player overall, so that's like step 1 for them. They have to really figure out the team dynamic shot calling later on, but I feel like they have the talent to at least get a steady 10 to 15 minutes in that sense, so we could see some good things from TSM's bot lane, especially in those matches.
So, I mean, you know, as people are, the community, I know, I'm going to have to call them out a little bit. They were, like, rejoicing as soon as they heard the news. It's like, Dream Team TSM. And I'm like, they literally only have 2 out of 5 players right now. It's Bjergsen and Doublelift. Let's calm down and find out for the rest of the lineup. But everyone seems at least excited to find out how things are going to work out on TSM. But there are, of course, 2 sides to every story. And you have to wonder if Doublelift leaving CLG left a mark on the CLG lineup.
Well, I'm pretty used to every year, or rather every split, having a new roster since the previous one didn't work out. The only constant in the past was that Doublelift was always there, and this time around it's not going to be the same. We used to be friends back in the past, but since coming into this new roster iteration that we had for Summer Split, I valued it more to bring everyone else to the level that we were at, and I spent more time with them than I did with Peter, so that definitely damaged the relationship, of course. And then going into this off season, we just didn't really agree, and the organization wanted to part ways with Peter, and I agreed with that since we wanted to be able to foster new talent. We just move forward in that direction. But as of now, I have no problem being friends with him. Maybe he doesn't feel the same, but probably in the future, it'll be okay.
I've dealt with a lot of roster changes in general, and I think losing Doublelift as a player is obviously going to be a noticeable change, but overall, we're still a team, and the focus isn't on one player, but the whole team.
Feels a lot different in the house. There's not like this looming, oh, if I, piss off this one guy, he's gonna hate me forever, and then, he'll just berate me in the middle of the game and stuff like that. Usually people feel intimidated by Peter and myself, especially when we were on the team. Like, people couldn't talk to us at all just because we had the veteran stigma on us and that we were the best in our respective roles in our region. So it was really hard for people to talk to us, but I don't want that to happen, and neither does the organization this upcoming year at all. So we're really looking forward to, actually fostering young talent and building it into where the players can actually be better people rather than just as a player.
So, I mean, a couple things to take away, and I think a big point for a lot of people, I mean, we heard about this a little bit before this tournament, was Afroma and Double, we thought they were inseparable, like BFF AE times 20, but there seems to be some just, at the very least, miscommunication and lack of communication once Doublelift left CLG.
I don't know. I feel like that's kind of like a heat of the moment thing where maybe they won't get along for a couple months, and then halfway through the LCS split, people are just going to let bygones be bygones. And
let me have my teenage drama, man.
Yeah,
It's been a little while.
Well, just from personal experience, like I was a CLG member, and I obviously didn't get along with some of the members, like Hotshot, and yeah, you just end up working stuff out. Like, you just grow up, and Doublelift he's still kind of young, even though he's been playing forever, and I think they'll be fine, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's not going to be something they take to their graves and like as they're out there, they're like, I still remember when I dished Afremu. Like that's not going to happen.
You missed that cannon that one time on the Targans.
Of course, but the rest of it though, I mean, you can kind of tell for Afremu too, and of course Zix, Tony, their new head coach, that I mean, it is going to be a big change, and they're not quite sure what they're running into either now that Doublelift is gone. I mean, this is something that none of us know what to expect.
Yeah, I think it's going to take some time for CLG to build up properly. I look at the 2 new roster additions. Huhi's last competitive match was on Team Fusion in April. Stixay's last competitive match was not even making the playoffs in the Challenger Series in spring. Like, these guys haven't been around the block kind of ever. They're still like leaving their front door for the first time here.
Right.
So, I mean, it's going to take a while, I think, for this team to come together. I think at this moment in time, skill-wise, those 2 are downgrades. Maybe that can improve, of course. You heard Afremu talking about building up the roster talent-wise, and I don't think you'll see them do very well at IEM San Jose. Maybe by the new year it gets better.
At the same time, though, CLG, I doubt they're coming in with very high expectations in this tournament. They just want to give like stage presence, like a little bit of practice for these team members, and they're going actually up against Unicorns of Love, who, in my opinion, have a very mediocre lineup put together so far. And then should they make semifinals, they're playing against Jinair, who like there's question marks there too. So it can go both ways. They can flunk out and really just get 2-0 stomped, but at the same time, if they get some momentum, they could, due to the nature of the bracket, just make it to finals.
Yeah, I mean, you know, more than anything for CLG, I think you got to listen to what Afro said himself, where he's like, well, I want to start focusing on the team as a whole, not just 1 or 2 positions, not just my bot duo lane. And we'll see, I mean, over not just this tournament, but of course now going through the LCS later in 2016, if they can make that improve, who knows what kind of CLG we'll see by the end of the year in 2016.
And we saw at Worlds as well that team play generally trumped individual skill. We had a lot of those teams with superstars where we expected them to do super well, and the slightly lesser gifted teams with better teamwork actually came out way on top. So that mentality isn't necessarily wrong, but
yeah, I mean, SKT won Worlds without playing the #1 superstar Easyhoon, so
yeah, exactly.
Pretty fair, right?
Point
Team
made.
play over individual skill, in my opinion. But as we're mentioning to Unicorns of Love, we didn't talk about them too much, but I mean, nothing really shining through. Not to say that it's a bad lineup, but nothing really stands out as like, wow, this is something I really look forward to.
Yeah, for people that don't know, Unicorns of Love obviously lost power with Evil. They lost their jungler too, and they replaced their AD carry. So now it's Vizichachi, Julius, Fox, Steelback, and Hylissang. It kind of opens up more room for Hylissang to shine, and you will definitely have to like carry even more, in my opinion, because the remaining members, maybe they've improved over time, but I don't have the best hopes for this Unicorns roster.
Yeah, it does look a little bit shaky. But Vizichachi's still a pretty solid player. Gilius like qualified into the LCS with them like last year, but then he's been like bouncing around challenger teams and whatnot. Like he swapped plays with Kickers at some point.
He played for them 1 week.
Yeah, he played a couple of games. Like they benched him for Horo. Then like so, yeah, it's players where it's like, look, there's glimmers here. Like Fox looked really good back in Challenger last year. Then he was like okay on SK this year. Like Steelback was meh on Fnatic. They didn't look good in North American Challenger, which, well, it's North American Challenger. It's not that hard to look good. But so it's like players where it's like, look, they have the drive. Like they're bouncing around teams because they want to compete. And if you find the right roster, like players will accelerate their growth when you're in the right environment. And if Unicorns of Love ends up being a good greenhouse, then these guys get good. I mean, it does work that way, though, right? You get the right roster, like the drive to improve and the like natural chemistry like does help you get better as a player.
Well, maybe, but like, I'm
not saying they're going to win IEM.
I'm not saying they're going to win IEM, but
let's give them a chance. Yeah.
Well, you have players like Fox. Like I feel like he just got fed kills over and over again when he's playing in the LCS, and then he's like, "Wow, he looks really great." And then you make it into the mid game or the late game team fights, and it's like, "What are you doing, man? Like you just like lost your team the game." And I'm just not sold on them at all, man. I don't like that roster.
Fair enough. I mean, we'll see. We will get a first look up for pretty much all these teams. But we do have someone out in the stands, I believe, here in the SAP Center. Christine, how is it looking? I mean, so far from what I can see, we do have a packed crowd here in San Jose.
Chobra, you have me sitting here with a celebrity. Snoopay is here, and Snoopay is signing autographs for all the people around us. So thank you, Chobra, for letting me sit next to this guy. And Snoopay, this is pretty cool because I'm pretty new to League of Legends and e-gaming, but you have been teaching me, kind of showing me the ropes here, and you were a caster last year. So this is my first time covering an event. Tell me your biggest tip for me today.
Well, first of all, welcome to esports, Christine.
Thank you.
The event in San Jose is going to be amazing. Just make sure you pay attention to the games and follow the storyline. So right now, this is the off season, and there's a lot up in the air. So TSM and CLG, these are big teams come to this event, and they just lost their star player. If you're watching, Chobra was saying Doublelift just went over to TSM.
And I heard that you actually used to live with Doublelift, and that he might have some problems kind of getting along with his new teammates, and that could be a problem for them today. What do you think about that?
Well, Doublelift is a big personality, right? And he's fitting into a big team. It's gonna be really interesting to see if Bjergsen and Doublelift can like really work together well in the team. They're great friends, but they obviously like, those guys demand a lot of resources in the game. It's gonna be interesting to see if they can like pull it out of this tournament.
I actually heard just from backstage that Doublelift might have lost his glasses, so there could be some controversy already. Do you think this could be a big problem?
Oh, that's an excuse.
The audience is booing.
That's an excuse straight away, Peter. Come on.
So the big news this year is that there's a lot of new players on all the different teams. Who's your favorite to win this today?
So I think coming into the tournament, Origin probably has a good chance of doing well, but I really want Counter Logic Gaming to pull through. We got any CLG fans here?
Are you a little biased to CLG?
I'm a little bit biased. I used to be on CLG a couple of years ago, and I really want to do well. It's a new roster, but I hope like Stixie, I'm a big fan of him, and I hope he performs well. He's got a lot of pressure on him, but hopefully he does good this tournament.
And now since you're such a celebrity, I hear that you're coaching in the show match. Mark Cuban is gonna be here, and also the CEO of Intel, and you're coaching Mark Cuban. Have you spoken to him at all, and how do you think your team's chances are of winning?
So I'm a little bit apprehensive. He has played a couple of games, and his quote was, "I'm pretty horrible," so I'm not sure how well he's gonna do, but hopefully he gets here. We'll play a couple of games before we go on stage. I really want to kick Brian's ass, to be honest, so hopefully we can pull it out the bag.
All right, Snoopy, thank you so much. Chobra, we'll send it back to you.
Thank you very much, Christine, and of course, Snoopy, for joining us here as we kick off the Intel Extreme Masters San Jose 2015. Well, as you can see on your screens, not too much time left before the first match. But before we get into the match, don't forget, you can go over to Amazon through esl.gg/Amazon IEM and get up to 75% off on select products, help increase the prize pool for these players who are competing this weekend, all that good stuff. Now it's time. Just a few minutes away. First match coming up, LGD versus TSM. And we do have a lot of other, with the backstage, we're sharing it actually between the CSGO and League of Legends stages. So we have 20 players just hanging out. We have warm-up areas and all that for them behind there. But TSM versus LGD, I'm just gonna do a quick call. We'll talk about it a little bit more as we jump in, but do we think TSM is gonna win? I mean, it is North America, home field advantage, all that. Like, I'm a Desk Coast, I gotta hype that up.
I think it's unlikely. I think
Okay,
LGD
thanks,
are big favorites. TSM have, I mean, they could win a game. Like, I mean, maybe they could win, right? Like, they do have good players, but it's been a week together. I got to talk to his coach, actually talked to the players at breakfast, and he's like, yeah, we're doing better than we think we should be. Like, progress is faster than expected, but it's still a week with the roster.
All right, just 1 week. We'll have a little bit more time to break it down once we introduce the players for the matches. Ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, it will be the first match of IEM San Jose 2015 at the SAP Center with LGD going up against home crowd favorites, TSM.
I'm a gamer, and to see so many gamers come together and just have this kind of energy and all just be like excited and all about one thing, it's like, it feels like we're all coming together.